being recorded.
Hello, ladies. I actually woke up in the middle of the night and I kind of decided I was on my phone to check my Substack, and I found a post by some man who linked me to this video, and when I listened to it, all I got was terror from it. All I got was terror. If you understand men at all, if you understand men at all, this should terrorize you. If you don't understand men, then you think this is a perfectly sensible video. You would think that this video is perfectly sensible. So let's watch it.
Fundamental has broken between men.
This is going to be a really long one. Okay, this is going to be really long because it's 23 minutes long. And every bit of it is
You can feel it in every
It starts off with something is fundamentally broken between men and women, which says that, which is revealing their mindset, which is that you must be in a relationship with them or something is wrong. That is their mindset. You must be in a relationship with them or something is wrong. That means that they have no choice but to force you, because to them, that is what is normal. They have no choice but to force you, because that is what is normal. They cannot let us go. They will not let us go, because to them, that is what is normal. And it doesn't matter how much evidence you give them that it is not normal, that killing somebody is not normal, right? That being in relationship with them is killing us. They're not going to listen. No matter how much evidence you provide, they refuse to listen, because to them, that is what is normal. To them, killing you is normal. To them, raping is normal. To them, all these things are normal.
Operating from completely different playbooks, and men are finally realizing that playing by the old rules means losing everything. Let me explain why men across the world are done being the understanding, accommodating, self-sacrificing good guys that society demanded we be.
Right, that's right. They stop being understanding. They stop being accommodating. They are stop being good guys. Listen to this is the statistics on male violence have not changed. They're actually getting worse. But he thinks they are being good guys. He thinks they're being good guys because he's somehow compartmentalizing the whole male violence thing, that all the ones who don't practice active violence are the ones who make up what men actually are the ones who make up the general population of men, when it is actually the opposite. This is insane. This is why it is impossible. It is impossible for our reproductive system, for our biology to have come up with a gender like this to have children with. This could only be parasitism. It doesn't matter how much evidence you provide to them. The one guy out of many who isn't abusive, that is the one they're going to use. Twisting the stories that the men are going to twist, that is the one they're going to use. This thing is not normal.
The ideological divide between genders has become a canyon. I see it every day in my practice. A man talks about wanting a traditional family structure, not because he wants to oppress anyone, but because he's seen what works. He's immediately labeled as controlling, outdated, toxic. Meanwhile, she wants all the benefits of traditional male provision while maintaining complete independence and authority. These aren't compatible worldviews, and pretending they are is destroying relationships. Here's what's really happening. Each side has created a narrative where they're the hero and the other is the villain. She sees herself as breaking free from oppression, pursuing empowerment, claiming her independence. He sees himself as offering stability, commitment, and partnership, only to be treated like an ATM with no authority.
No, they definitely do not. They definitely do not offer that. They definitely do not offer that. See, at just the right time they call it partnership. When he just said before he wanted traditional, which is it? You offer a partnership or you offer traditional? Because there's nothing partnering about traditional. There's nothing partnering about tradition. You are stripping a woman of her ability to earn money. When she has both ability to earn money and reproduce. And here's the thing, ladies, the reason you're able to do both is because reproduction was supposed to be a lot easier than what the men have placed on us. Reproduction is supposed to be much easier than what the males have placed on us because it is parasitic. It is a parasitic design.
And the other is the villain. She sees herself as breaking free from oppression, pursuing empowerment, claiming her independence. He sees himself as offering stability, commitment, and partnership, only to be treated like an ATM with no authority. Neither can understand why the other doesn't see it their way. This loss of empathy in gender relations is staggering. I had a couple in counselling where the wife couldn't understand why her husband was upset about being excluded from decisions about their children's education. "I'm the mother," she said, as if that explained everything. When I asked her how...
Yeah, she's the mother. Listen, she carried a child that you could not, that you cannot because you're not human. She carried the child. You don't get to make equal decisions about something that came out of somebody's body. That's like saying you demand to know how someone uses the toilet when they're doing number two. A man who contributes literally next to nothing and wants equality, that is not equality. That is oppression. For him to want equality, he has to produce equally. It has to produce equally. And they cannot do that, which means equality for them is oppression for you.
How she'd feel if he made financial decisions without her input, she said that was completely different. But it's not different. It's the same dismissal of a partner's involvement. The conversations reveal how deep this emotional detachment goes. When men express wanting equal say in family matters, they're told they're trying to control. When they step back and let her lead, they're criticised for not being involved enough. When they express hurt about being sidelined, they're told to stop being dramatic. There's literally no acceptable way for men to advocate for their own involvement. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the systemic imbalance in family courts. For decades, the legal system has operated on the assumption that mothers are inherently better parents.
Okay, hold on a second. The assumption, you are literally the one who is designed to have children. How is that assumption? Do you see how they have to lie? Do you see how they have to lie for the worldview to make sense? It is based all entirely on lies. You are literally the one who has children. Why would you not be better?
Fathers
Assumption?
were visitors in their children's lives, weekend entertainment, check writers. This wasn't based on evidence or child psychology. It was based on outdated gender assumptions that somehow only seem to matter when they benefit one side. I've counselled hundreds of divorced fathers, and their stories are heartbreakingly similar. Good men, involved fathers, who suddenly find themselves reduced to every
lie. This guy's a lie. This is a lie. He doesn't have hundreds of divorced fathers who are good men. He has hundreds of liars who pretend to be good fathers. Do you understand that? Do you understand that? And here's why. Because a woman, right? If the man is not there, the woman has to earn money somehow. And that means that she's going to need caretakers for her children. She's going to need caretakers for her children. If the fathers are involved, If the fathers are involved, why would she need to go to an outsider? Why would she sideline him to go for an outsider? These are men who are using the kids, and crafting a story about male suffering and parental rights and all that. These are not involved fathers. The depth of lies this men tell is just excruciating.
The other weekend, men who coached Little League, did homework every night, never missed a recital. Now they're getting 2 days a month if they're lucky.
Lies, lies.
And society wonders why men are checking out of family formation. The bias isn't subtle. Judges who assume mothers are naturally more nurturing. Lawyers who advise men to just accept standard visitation. Court evaluate judge a month if they're lucky. And society wonders why men are checking out of family formation. The bias isn't subtle. Judges who assume mothers are naturally more nurturing.
Assume? In almost every instance of a man having to care for children, he needed to have a woman there to take on all of the responsibility. And they are crashing out without women. Assume?
Lawyers who advise men to just accept standard visitation. Court evaluators who scrutinize fathers for working full-time, but don't question mothers for the same. The system has been rigged for so long that people think the rigging is natural law. But here's where things get...
Okay, you are the one with the design to have children. How is that not natural law? Do you hear them? This is what they are basing their rights for. They are moving to create more rights for women, for men, which can only come from the rights of women, because these males are not human. Therefore, they're not supposed to have any rights in the beginning. Any rights that they take, they are carving it out of women. And they are not going to take only a little bit. They are going to take all of it. They are going to take all of your rights.
It's get interesting. Reform is becoming a turning point for parental equality. Several states and countries have started implementing default 50-50 custody laws. Equal time, equal responsibility, equal authority. And guess what's happening? The people who claim to want equality are losing their minds. Kentucky passed a shared parenting law, and feminist organizations fought it tooth and nail. Florida tried to pass similar legislation, and it was vetoed after massive pressure from women's groups. Why? If equality is the goal, why fight equal parenting? Because it was never about equality. It was about maintaining advantage while claiming victimhood. The shifting divorce trends after legal change tell the real story. In states with equal custody laws...
Okay, he's trying to make this about kids, parental rights. But he keeps going back to marriage because this is what they really want. Can't you fight for your kids without marriage, which is getting a woman stuck with it? Like if this is really about kids, you can have kids without marriage. But they keep coming back to me because it is about marriage. It is about having access to a woman for sex. It is about having a permanent sex hole. This is what it is. Don't ever mistake what these men are. They're only looking for a sex hole. You can have kids without marriage. This whole entire, parenting thing that he's talking about is exactly proof of that you can have children without marriage. This means that there should never be marriage discussions in this if it was really about kids. It's about having access to sex, and they're going to force you to do it.
Divorce rates have dropped significantly. Turns out, when both parties know they'll share equal responsibility and can't use kids as weapons, they work harder to make marriages work. When the nuclear option isn't as attractive, people choose negotiation over destruction.
You hear that? Why do you need to make marriage work if it's not about access to sex for you? Why do you need to make marriages work? Why does it need to be about marriage at all? Marriage is his access to sex, but it isn't just sex, right? It is permanent sex. It is 5 times a day sex. Because if you're not married, you can't get sex 5 times a day. If you're not married, you cannot get sex 5 times a day. You can get sex just by rolling over in bed. and sticking it into some supposedly inanimate woman. You can get sex anytime you want. You can bully somebody into giving it to you. The work to do that becomes 10 times, 100 times harder. There's nothing good about these males. There's absolutely nothing good about them. Look at the story they are crafting of them being just normal people. The world is literally decaying from all the death and destruction and hunger and disease. The world is decaying from it. And they're crafting a narrative that they're just perfectly normal people, that they're just perfectly normal humans who deserve human empathy, who deserve human equality, who deserve all these things.
This reveals something important. Many divorces weren't about irreconcilable differences. They were strategic moves enabled by a biased system. When you know you'll get the kids, the house, and financial support, leaving becomes an easier choice. Remove those guarantees, and suddenly people discover they can work through problems. The female control over family dynamics has been institutional policy for decades. Not just custody, but decision-making power. Schools call mothers first. Doctors defer to mothers' wishes. Even when fathers are equally involved, they're treated as secondary parents. This isn't...
There has never been a father who is equally involved. Stop. Actually, no. That's not actually true. That's not actually true. But the vast majority is the mother. And this is a lie. This is a lie. That, when fathers are equally involved, why would the father be in your face giving you all this information, but you want to call the mother? This is a lie. This is a natural or biological. What the hell does he mean? See, did you guys see that? Do you guys see that? A child that comes out of you, that is a natural for you to care more about them than the one that didn't come out of. This isn't biological. This isn't biological, ladies. That is the only thing that can result from this is our collective enslavement. It is our collective re-enslavement. That is the only dynamic that will ever result in having men around. That is the only thing that could ever result in having men around.
Natural or biological, it's systemic bias that everyone pretends doesn't exist. I see this control play out in intact marriages too. She makes you
natural or biological.
Remove those guarantees, and suddenly people discover they can work through problems. The female
they can't even accept that, the biology that is evident. They can't even accept evidence of biology that we can all see.
Control over family dynamics has been institutional policy for decades. Not just custody, but decision-making power. Schools call mothers first. Doctors defer to mothers' wishes. Even when fathers are equally involved, they're treated as secondary parents. This isn't natural or biological, it's systemic bias that everyone pretends doesn't exist. I see this control play out in intact marriages too. She makes unilateral decisions about the children's activities, education.
Children, when they grow up, they've all said, I preferred my dad. Most of them, not all of them, most have said, I preferred my mom. My dad was horrible. What isn't biological about that? They refuse blatant evidence. This is why this could never have been natural. Everything that they do, even when they, even if this is completely innocent, yeah. The fact is, every equality that they ask for comes from her. It comes from women. It is women who are giving up their own individualism. Biology simply does not work this way. The reason there is a unit of life is that every cell, those cells, work independently. The unit of life is a cell and it is independent. Why would your collective cells are supposed to be independent, but you are not? This is an abomination. This dynamic of two genders is an abomination that must end. The two genders is an abomination that needs to end, and it needs to end yesterday.
Medical care, then tells him about it afterward. If he objects, he's controlling. If he wants input, he's undermining her maternal instincts. The message is clear. Fathers should provide resources but not opinions. The loss of this dominance is deeply unsettling for those who've grown accustomed to it. When men start demanding to defer to mothers' wishes, even when fathers are equally involved, they're treated as secondary parents. This isn't natural or biological, it's systemic bias that everyone pretends doesn't exist. I see this control play out in intact marriages too. She makes unilateral decisions about the children's activities, education, medical care, then tells him about it afterward. If he objects, he's controlling. If he wants input, he's undermining her maternal instincts.
That's because no. That's because he's not objecting. That's because he's not objecting for the sake of objecting. That's because he's not inputting for the sake of inputting, because he doesn't know anything about caring for kids, nor anything about his own kids. Because he's inputting in order to what? To trap her so that he can have access to sex. Because he's inputting in order for him to have access to his sex hole. And no matter how much evidence you give them to the contrary that these men are not good, they're going to continue to say that they are. No matter how much evidence you provide to them. Afghanistan men, as much as they kill women, they think they are good. They think they are good. They think they are holy. They think they are the good guys. No matter how much evidence you provide them, this is the most horrible. If they're saying that this is natural, this is the most horrible, horrific way to have a child possible. Biology can never have come up with this. By biology, I mean your own. Because your own, this could only be your own if it is self-evolved. It could only be your own if it is self-evolved to be this way. And your own biology could never do this to you. Could never do this to you. This is demonic. Have to end our attachment to the males immediately.
The message is clear. Fathers should provide resources but not opinions. The loss of this dominance is deeply unsettling for those who've grown accustomed to it.
No, women have largely, women will rather not have your resources than any of this. That's just not true. And the reason women want the resources is because they assume that these guys are actually the ones actually reproduce with them. But that is not what happened. That is not what happened at all. On a biological level, this man did not reproduce with you. On a biological level, that is not what is happening. This man opened up your ability to reproduce, reopened your ability to reproduce while it is in a state of blockage. It is in a state of blockage. Because they blocked it, because they put a block on it. So when you finally get a sperm baby, then it becomes unblocked. But your ability to have children is always there.
When men start demanding equal say, equal time, equal authority, it's framed as an attack on motherhood itself. But it's not. It's simply asking for the equality that's been preached but never practiced when it comes to parenting. The myth of male danger is one of the most destructive narratives in our society.
The myth? Why you are dying, why children are being raped to the tune of 60%. It's going to be male danger. It's a myth. Male danger is a myth while the entire world is burning and decaying from the death and destruction that men cannot stop causing. The myth of male danger. They're telling you that you're making it up. They're telling you that they are just as good as you women. They are just as good as you women. They're not even going to do the women are the same.
We've been conditioned to see fathers as potential threats to their own children. Every man in a park with his kid is viewed with suspicion.
That's not true. Again, another lie. Men in parks are only considered suspicious when they don't have kids.
Fathers get dirty looks for taking their daughters to the bathroom. This isn't protection, it's paranoia. The statistics tell a different
This
story
never
than the narrative.
happens.
Mothers are statistically more likely to abuse children than fathers.
Not true. That is a lie. That is a complete lie.
Mothers' boyfriends, not biological fathers, pose the highest risk to children. But these facts don't fit the story, so they're ignored. Instead, we operate on the assumption that children are safer away from their fathers, despite all evidence to the contrary.
Despite all evidence to the contrary, he's saying there's a mountain of evidence to the contrary when it is the opposite.
This cultural conditioning runs so deep that even men internalize it. Fathers doubt their own ability to parent. They defer to mothers even when their instincts are right. They accept being treated as babysitters in their own homes. The programming has convinced everyone, including men.
Accept being treated as babysitters in their own home when it is actually the man who demands to be treated as a babysitter. I have seen countless instances, as have you, countless instances where the man refuses to parent.
Men themselves that they're secondary parents at best. The institutional and media bias is overwhelming. Watch any family court drama, read any article about custody disputes, attend any parenting seminar. Fathers are portrayed as either absent workaholics or bumbling idiots who can't handle a diaper. Mothers are wise, sacrificing heroes who deserve default authority.
They are portrayed, you mean they portray themselves? You mean they portray themselves in order to do nothing but still trap the woman? Because the entire point of it is to trap women.
This isn't journalism, it's propaganda. Academia is even worse. Gender studies departments pump out papers about toxic masculinity while ignoring male suicide rates. They study the wage gap while ignoring the workplace death gap. They champion women's rights while...
Sorry, what?
while ignoring male suicide rates.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? He's saying, stop talking about toxic masculinity, which is men doing harming women, and let's talk and let's focus more about men harming themselves. Do you hear the decayed parasite?
They study the wage gap while ignoring the work.
Do you hear the decayed, demonic parasite mind here? Do you hear it? No. Let's not stop. And let's stop talking about men harming women and children. Let's start talking about men harming themselves. Let's help them live longer so that they can harm more men, more women and children.
Workplace death gap. They champion women's rights while actively opposing fathers' rights. The is even worse. Gender studies departments pump out papers about toxic masculinity while ignoring male suicide rates. They study the wage gap while ignoring the workplace death gap. They champion
workplace death gap? See, how come women don't have the workplace death gap? How come? How come? Because we're not choosing dangerous fields. Because we're not being reckless in the fields that we do choose. He's literally advocating for you to stop being human, to stop protecting humans and protect them, the parasites. Do you see how demonic this thing could only be? The only option is for these things to be demonic. Who told you to go into these dangerous fields? Nobody. There was at some point, there was something that was, that was published about doctors killing themselves. About doctors killing themselves. Right? And of course, they're male. Why? Why are they killing themselves? Because they couldn't do something about the work. And yet, there was nothing about women doing that. Why? What is the difference? You cannot coexist with these creatures. We cannot coexist with these creatures. We cannot coexist with them. We have to get into formation right now and stop making the plans we need to free ourselves permanently. have to start working on freeing ourselves.
Champion women's rights while actively opposing fathers' rights. The bias isn't hidden, it's celebrated as progress. Advocacy organizations that claim to support families actively work against fathers. They fight shared parenting legislation. Advocacy organizations that claim to support families actively work against fathers.
Claim to support families. Again, there goes the you must be attached to me so that you can give me sex, and then I can use your children as your, as bait to trap you into that thing again. This they don't give a care about children. They care about having access to a woman for sex. And the only reason they're not using kids who are easier to trap is because they have to care for the kids. It's because the kids would die without the care. They do not want to care for children. They want a whole. They want to entrap a woman. And the reason it's not children that they get to entrap is because you have to care for the children or they die. Your pinhole will die if you don't take care of him. If you don't take care of her, your pinhole will die. It's only a human woman that will not. That is the only reason they are targeting women. If infants would not die, they would be targeting infants. They will be murdering adult women in order to target infants. Why? Why would they target women? Because it is women. Women protect infants. Women protect children. They will be murdering women so that they can go at infants.
They fight shared parenting legislation. They oppose reforms that would give men equal rights in reproduction decisions. They lobby for policies that maintain female advantage while preaching equality. The hypocrisy is breathtaking. Here's what redefining fair.
Not female advantage if that is what it is if that is what's designed. It's not female advantage if that is the design. It's not female advantage if you are literally making a child out of your body. It's not female advantage if you're making a child out of your body.
Fairness and equality actually means.
If you're going to say female advantage, right? Then in order for you to maintain, in order for there to be, if you're going to say that you have the right to something that comes out of somebody's body, then the only equal thing is that nobody has children. They can all be equal. The only thing is that no one has children, so that you can in fact be equal. That is when you are equal.
Identical standards regardless of gender. If we believe parents should be involved.
This is why the birth rates are collapsing. Because why would you want to sign up for this? Well, he gets his entire experience of having a child is to what? Stick his dick in pleasure into you. That is it. You have to bear all of the cost. Even the expenses now. Even now, the expenses, they are putting it on women. Why would you women want to have children based on those terms? Where you bear all the cost and he bears all the pleasure from it. He gets all the gains and none of the cost, and you get all the costs and barely any gains. Why would you want to procreate in this manner? This is exactly why this could never have been chosen. This could never have been designed by self-evolution. These males are they parasited us. They did something to us to disable our ability to have children on our own, so that we then need them. They did something to us to disable our ability to have children on our own.
Involved with their children, that includes fathers. If we believe in equal rights, that includes reproductive rights for men. If we oppose discrimination.
By the way, every single gain that they get is going to result in women dying more. Period, point blank. Period, point blank. Anytime you empower men, you kill women. Period, point blank.
that includes discrimination against fathers in family courts. True equality isn't selective. You don't get to cherry-pick which advantages you keep while demanding equality in areas where you're disadvantaged. Either we're equal or we're not. Either parenting is gendered or it isn't.
That is so demonic. How about you carry 50% of the child first? I mean, listen to what it's saying. If you are going to carry a whole child by yourself, right, you still don't have the right to demand equality, to demand more rights. That very fact, that very biology is not evidence enough. In other words, if you bought a $500,000 house and you put $499,000 down, and he put down $1, he still is supposed to get 50%. That is the nonsense that he's saying. But he has to say that nonsense in order for him to be able to parasite you. That is the entire reason this is even happening. Anyone who is not interested in parasiting you would not be interested in a dynamic like this. Anyone who is not interested in parasitizing you would not be interested in a dynamic like this. And the reason they can demand equality is because they don't plan on paying anything for that equality. They are going to get that equality off of your back. You are going to pay the cost of whatever it is, whatever right they have. You are going to pay that cost because remember, they are parasites, so they don't have any cost. They don't want to have any cost to the rights that they have. The cost that you were supposed to have in carrying children is the cost of getting energy. The work it has to take for you to get that energy. But because you have them, you have more and more cost because you're carrying their portion of the cost. Because you're carrying their portion of the cost. And because they are parasites, they don't care to make sure that that cost is only energy to you. It will cost you your life, it will cost you your body, it will cost you literally everything that you own.
Either we judge by merit or by chromosomes. Pick one and stick with it. The moral justice argument is simple. Men's struggles deserve the same recognition and response as women's. Male suicide, male homelessness.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not. No, it does not, because every time you save men from themselves, they end up killing you. Period. Every time you save men from themselves, they kill you. You enable them to kill you. Every time you make a child that is male, you end up killing women.
Male educational failure, male parental alienation. These aren't less important because they affect men. A society that only cares about one gender's suffering isn't progressive. It's discriminatory. The emotional suffering of separated fathers is a silent.
That's because the only reason that dynamic will never go away. That dynamic will never go away because every time you help men, you disempower yourself. Even for men who help other men end up paying for it because they are parasites. They only know how to take. When you help men, you enable them to hurt you. When you help men, you enable them to hurt you. And he's saying, and the reason that results in a natural distancing of helping men is because that is biology of survival. That is universal. And now he's saying even that biology is not enough evidence of what should happen. These things are sick.
Epidemic. I've sat with grown men sobbing in my office because they haven't seen their children in months.
Wrong. That's a lie. This guy's lying. These men are not sobbing because they haven't seen their kids. It's a lie. They're not sobbing because they have not seen their kids. It's a fucking lie.
Strong, successful men broken by a system that treats them as wallets rather than parents. These aren't deadbeats. They're dedicated fathers prevented from being fathers. The powerlessness these men feel is crushing. They follow court orders perfectly, pay support religiously, jump through every hoop, and still get denied their children. They watch their kids be turned against them through parental alienation while courts do nothing. They're told to be grateful for whatever scraps of time they're given. The isolation is perhaps worst of all. Society doesn't acknowledge their pain.
When I said that Having children with them is the way, is the bait they use to trap women. That is what is playing out in front of you right now. They understand that if they can get at your kids, if they can tie you to them by your kids, they can own you. This is their only aim. They can own you, which is why we must free ourselves from them.
There are no support groups, no awareness campaigns, no ribbons for alienated fathers. They suffer in silence because expressing their hurt is seen as weakness, or worse, as evidence they're unfit parents. The very system that causes their pain punishes them for showing it. I remember one father who hadn't seen his daughter in 6 months. The mother kept making excuses. The child was sick, had activities, wasn't feeling up to it. The court did nothing. This man, an executive who negotiated million-dollar deals, sat in my office shaking because he was powerless to see his own child. He said,
"That's a lie. That's a lie. This is a lie."
I never thought I'd be the kind of man who cries, but I dream about her every night. Another client discovered his ex-wife was telling their children he abandoned them, when in reality she'd moved 3 states away without notice. By the time the court addressed it, 2 years later, the damage was done.
This is a lie. This is a lie. Women do not do this. Women do not do this, especially women who are brainwashed. Women do not do this.
His kids believed he didn't love them. The judge's response? Well, they're settled now, we can't disrupt their lives. His life, his relationship with his children. That disruption didn't matter. This is why collective action and advocacy for men is essential. Individual men getting crushed by the system changes nothing. But organised men demanding reform? That's different. Look at the fathers' rights group successfully changing laws. Look at the men's organisations challenging bias in courts. Standing together isn't just helpful, it's necessary. Men need to stop being ashamed of advocating for themselves. Every other
This says this is why men are done playing nice. They are done playing nice so that they can trap you. They are done playing nice so they can force you into being with them.
group organises for their interests. Every other demographic has advocacy groups. But when men organise, they're called bitter, angry, or worse. This shame-based control tactic has worked for decades. It's time to stop falling for it. The pushback will be intense. You'll be called names, labelled as extremists, accused of wanting to oppress. This is the price of challenging systems that benefit from your silence. But remember, wanting equal time with your children isn't extreme. Wanting fair treatment in court isn't oppression. Wanting your struggles acknowledged isn't hatred. Expanding the meaning of equality requires us to stop justifying everything.
It is. Actually, all of that is. All of that is because this is exactly how they're going to use them. Because we have seen the evidence time and again for literally hundreds of years. We have seen the evidence time and again.
It has advocacy groups. But when men organise, they're called bitter, angry, or worse. This shame-based control tactic has worked for decades. It's time to stop falling for it. The pushback will be intense. You'll be called names, labelled as extremists, accused of wanting to oppress. This is the price of challenging systems that benefit from your silence. But remember, wanting equal time with your children isn't extreme. Wanting fair treatment in court isn't oppression. Wanting your struggles acknowledged isn't hatred. Expanding the meaning of equality requires us to stop justifying everything through the lens of how it benefits women or children. This is good for mothers shouldn't be the end of every policy discussion. What about fathers? What about...
The reason is that men and women and children they're not hurting anybody, but men are hurting people. That's why you cannot see it from their lens. That's why you cannot see it from their lens. And you have to understand what is happening. We're already seeing everything else from the lens of men. Which means if we start to see anything else from the lens of men, there will be no right to women or children. Do you understand that because women are the ones who produce children, whatever happens to women is inexorably going to be happening to children too. They will inexorably be happening to children too. There is no what he's talking about is pure evil. There is no scenario in which you can allow men unfettered access to their kids. Unfettered, uncontrolled access to their kids and expect kids to be safe. That simply does not exist. That is simply a lie. The male biology does not operate that way because it is designed to use the children as bait to trap the woman. And bait sometimes gets hurt in the baiting. There is nothing that is saying that is good. What he's saying is pure evil.
Men. Their well-being matters too, not as a side effect of helping others, but as a worthy goal in itself. Social progress that only moves in one direction isn't progress, it's supremacy. Real progress recognizes that both genders face challenges, both deserve support, both need advocacy.
Actually, Men are the ones creating their own challenges. Period, point blank. Men are the ones creating their own challenges. The reason that you're producing more men is because of men. The reason that those men who are committing suicide are committing suicide is because of men. They are the ones who demand that you make more sons for them. They are the ones who keep demanding the male body that doesn't, that is poorly designed in the human body. They're the reason men are suffering is because of men.
Policies that protect fathers' rights to their children aren't anti-woman, they're pro-family. Laws that...
Thank you. Thank you. They keep coming back to this marriage thing. Why can't you not have kids without marriage? Because they need you for sex. Because they need to have access to you for sex. They need you to be able to have sex 5 times a day. They need you to be their host. They need to attach to you so they can parasite your body, so they can get inside your body. They can put themselves inside of you. So they can access sex from you. That is the entire reason they're doing this. Every man who tells you, oh, this is a sob story about a child. No, he's telling you how it was hard for him to get sex because he lost his woman. And he's trying to trap her using the kids. This is exactly what played out biologically. That is what played out on a genetic level that is playing out in society here on a macro level. He's telling you how he lost his woman and he needs to trap her through her children. That's the only thing he's saying. They are not designed for kids. They are designed to parasite women with sex. Actually, it's not just women. Parasite anybody. It is just so happens that they get something from females. They are getting something from females with the sex. And if not for the fact that they have to also care for the kids, they also have to care for the kids. They would be using kids as well. They would be getting at the kids. They would be murdering women to get at their kids because you're designed to protect your kids. That's why they would have to murder you, because you would not let them go. Otherwise, you would do everything it takes to protect your kids. That means you would be a problem for them. Why it keeps coming back to this marriage? And why do you need marriage for you to be a good parent? Because it is not about parenting. This is about sex. This is about their access to sex. You all need to deny that relationship is a normal part of human biology. It is not. It is not. If sex was made for you to have children, if these males were made for you to have children with, they would impregnate you one time. You would have sex with them one time. The pregnancy would take, and that would be it. That would be it. You would not need continued poking in order to have a child. You would not need continued poking in order to have a child. It would take the first time. One time, the first time. And it would take every time. It would take every time. That is how you design something that is used to have babies. It would take every time. You would not need continuous poking. You would not need 500 times. You would not need to be having sex for a year, 2, 3 years, 15 years before you can have a kid. Sex was not designed for kids. It was designed for you, for these men to parasite us. This is a parasite design. And if you want, we need to figure out a way to free ourselves from these men. And if you want to know what that is, I will make a video about how we're going to do that. How we are going to do that, how we're going to get that done. But we need to start doing it. Because this man, they're not going to stop. He's just spent how much time now? 12 minutes, 23 minutes talking about children, but he cannot stop alluding to marriage. Why does he need to marry you? Why does he need to be attached to you in order for him to have kids when the biology of it is that it's simple, that you do not need to be married to produce children. You do not need to be married to produce children or to parent children or anything like that. Why does he keep saying marriage? Because it is entirely about sex for them. The entire design of having kids with you is for them, is something they put in place, something they altered. They altered us. They altered us to allow their parasitism of us, to enable that, to trap us with them so that we cannot escape. Because if we escaped, our species will die because we can't reproduce. Because if we escape, our species will die because we can't reproduce. That is the entire game.
Ensure fair treatment for men aren't misogynistic, they're egalitarian. The fear-mongering around fathers' rights is revealing. If men get equal custody, women will stay in abuse.
It cannot be egalitarian if the males are innately patriarchal and controlling. It cannot be egalitarian. It cannot be egalitarian because inherent in male behavior is them being selfish and hoarding everything, which means if you give them equality, you would not be giving. You are not actually giving equality in this sense. You are giving them control. You are removing women's ability and children's ability to survive. Egalitarianism is to give men no rights.
Abusive relationships. But weren't we told women are strong and independent? Children need their mothers more. But wasn't gender just a social construct? The arguments shift depending on what maintains advantage. Here's the reality. That ensure fair treatment for men aren't misogynistic, they're egalitarian. The fear-mongering around fathers' rights is revealing. If men get equal custody, women will stay in abusive relationships. But weren't we told women are strong and
What is that saying? What is that saying? That if you're strong and independent, right, you shouldn't be abused. I mean, that's like saying, if I'm, if I'm sleeping, the sky shouldn't be blue. What kind of nonsense is this?
independent? Children need their mothers more. But wasn't gender just a social construct? The arguments shift depending on what maintains advantage. Here's the reality. Children need both parents. Not visiting dad, not...
No, children do not need both parents. Because inherent in biology is that he did not, he did not do equal work. He did not do equal work, exactly like how real estate would play out, because he didn't put down equal money. That's exactly how biology thinks of it too. That is exactly how biology thinks of it too. And it is only them who made it seem like it is not. That is exactly how biology thinks of it too.
Weekend dad, not child support dad. They need actual, involved, authoritative dad. Studies consistently show children... maintains advantage. Here's the reality. Children need both parents. Not visiting dad, not weekend dad, not child support dad.
Need both parents. Not visiting dad, not weekend dad, not child support dad. And what enables that? What exactly enables that? What enables that? Marriage to the mother. Because outside of that, they don't want you to deal with your kids. They don't want you to deal with your kids.
They need actual, involved, authoritative dad. Studies consistently show children do better with involved fathers.
That's wrong. That is a lie. That is a lie. Children do not do better with dads. They do worse. Children do worse with dads because what they're showing, Because of course, these men have to lie. You understand that they have to lie to prove their very existence. Because what is actually true is that children are dying, are being raped, are being traumatized because of dads being in the picture. But they are going to pick up the very outliers, the very tiny outliers that show, yeah, this dad did a great job. But when he wasn't abusing his kids, he's capable of doing a great job. Not the actual, most of the data that show most of them don't care to not actually not abuse their kids.
Lower crime, better education, healthier relationships, higher success. But this data is ignored because it threatens the narrative. The resistance to equal parenting reveals something darker. Some people benefit from broken families. Lawyers get more billable hours.
Why do you keep talking about family? You don't need a family to have children. Why do you keep talking about families? Why? Why? You don't need families to have children. Them tying it to family means it is only about sex. Do you understand me? Anyone who tells you that children need families is a lie. If children need families, how come only the woman is carrying the child? Why would biology not design it so that the man carries the child too, so that he too is invested in the child? Why is that not the design? Why is that not the design? Why would biology not design it so that the man is invested into the child as well? If you say he is needed, why would only one be designed to carry the child, but the other one is not? But you want to assert that those two are supposed to be the same, that they are still supposed to get the same, they're still supposed to do the same exact things. If you want to say a child needs a father, why would not that start from the child stage, from the pregnancy stage, that the father is already invested into it? Why would that not start there? I mean, it's like you just refuse to accept basic biology, even no matter how much evidence is in your face. If your child needed a father, you would not. The woman would not be carrying it all by herself. Even and the mere fact that a sperm is needed, I have proven that that is a thing. That is a design, not of the women who actually carry the children, but the men who are parasitizing the woman. That it is a parasite design, and not in the actual nature of women, which means the actual nature of women is for them to carry the child all on their own, which means that there will be no fathers, that the actual nature of women is for their child to have no fathers. That is the real nature of females. A child does not need a father.
Hours from custody battles. Therapists get clients from damaged children. Government agencies justify budgets through managing dysfunction. There's an entire industry built on keeping fathers from their children. The ideological divide becomes clear when you examine the language used. Mothers raise children, fathers babysit. Mothers have maternal instincts.
They're the ones who use this. It's men themselves who use this, who use this language. Every single iteration of the man is a babysitter have women pushing back on it. Every single time, 100% of the time. 100% of the time. I have been literally crawling social media spaces, looking for evidence of this, looking for evidence of that, looking for observable evidence of this and that and this and that. So many things that are observable. Every single time, 100% of the time, women push back on anyone who says the man is a babysitter. 100% of the time, not a single time, has women not pushed back on it. It is only men who use that they are just babysitting their kids.
Fathers have learned behaviors. Mothers sacrifice. Fathers help out. This linguistic programming reinforces the bias at every level. Language shapes thought, and the thought is that fathers are optional. Sit. Mothers have maternal instincts. Fathers have learned behaviors. Mothers sacrifice. Fathers help out.
Mother sacrifice is, again, this sentence, mother sacrifice, fathers help out. This is male ideology. This is exactly what their parasitism is based on. Because they had to trap you. They had to use your own biology. They had to exploit your ability to have children, to bait you into being tied to them. Therefore, they don't need to, because they don't need to help out. That they don't need to actually be reproducing because they're not the ones reproducing. Those children are yours. Therefore, they can only help out. And they barely do that. They barely do that. They barely help. And they have to use this sacrificing to trap you successfully. Because when you stop sacrificing for your kids, they cannot hold your kids over you, to hostage you into being their permanent sex hole. You stop sacrificing for your kids. They cannot use the kids to trap you into being their slave.
This linguistic programming reinforces the bias at every level. Language shapes thought, and the thought is that fathers are optional. Men are starting to recognize these word games.
Fathers are not optional. Fathers are not optional. Fathers are not needed. Fathers are not needed.
When she says we need to communicate, she means you need to agree with me. When she says be more involved, she means do exactly what I say. When she says toxic masculinity, she
There you go. Listen.
Programming reinforces the bias at every level. Language shapes thought, and the thought is that fathers are optional. Men are starting to recognize these word games. When she says we need to communicate, she means you need to agree with me.
To communicate means you need to agree with me, which means that what? If he means that every time you need to communicate, you need to agree with me, that immediately instigates a refusal to agree. Because why would you want someone to be manipulating you? The inevitability of that would be that you would want to disagree, which means that what? Parenting actually becomes more difficult. Do you understand this? Because if you think somebody is manipulating you, you would what? Become less agreeable.
With me. When she says be more involved, she means do exactly what I say.
Listen to that. Listen to that. If you think somebody's going to be manipulating you like this, why would you be more agreeable in parenting?
When she says toxic masculinity, she means any masculine trait that doesn't serve me. The vocabulary of modern relationships has been weaponized against male participation. The empathy gap is astounding when you compare responses to similar situations. A mother crying about missing her children gets sympathy, support, and social action. A father in the same situation gets told to man up, move on, or that he probably deserved it. This is
not true. It is men who do that to other men. Women, again, 100% of the time, I've never done that. 100% of the time, women have not done this. It is men who tell other men to man up. Women are like all googly-eyed when a man says this. When a man says, "Oh, I miss my kids," women are all googly-eyed.
This isn't just individual bias; it's institutional. Support services for mothers outnumber those for fathers by hundreds to one. Men are done playing.
What?
A father in the same situation gets told to man up, move on, or that he probably deserved it. This isn't just individual bias; it's institutional. Support services for mothers outnumber those for fathers by hundreds to one.
Yeah, because mothers mothering kids outnumber men. We're even more than that. Even more than that, which means there's an actual dearth. Do you see how they see equality, right? Even though 99% of men of women are the ones caring for kids, right? You should have equal services for men, right? Which means that inevitably, women there will be an insufficiency of services for women. If you're to take equality on that level, these are not human in the way they think.
Men are done playing nice because playing nice meant accepting second-class status in their own families. It meant being grateful for whatever access
Your family, because she created it. It's not your family. It is not your family. You did not create any family. Your only family is your mother. Your only family is your mother.
they were granted to their own children. It meant funding a system that worked against them. It meant staying silent while being systematically disadvantaged. The nice guy was expected to work himself to death, providing, then accept being called absent. He was expected to defer to her parenting decisions, then be blamed for not being involved. He was expected to sacrifice everything in divorce, then be painted as the bad guy. The nice guy playbook led to exploitation, not partnership. This isn't about becoming harsh or cruel. It's about recognizing that being accommodating to an unfair system perpetuates that system. Being understanding of bias doesn't eliminate bias. Being the bigger person when you're being systematically discriminated.
What they call an unfair system, what they call an unfair system is women having any rights. Because if you have any rights, because if you're going to have any rights, it will go to your nature. That right will touch on your nature to be an independent organism, which means he would have no rights. You understand? Because that is the nature of every organism except one that is parasitic. That is the nature of every organism. This is the basic picture. The reason a unit of life, a cell, is independent is that it is not under influence of something that can damage it. It is not under the influence of something that will cause it harm. That is what independence is. That is what every organism is based on, which means a two-sex system can only be parasitism. It cannot be a partnership. It is a parasitism. The unit of life is an independent cell. It is an independent cell, which means an advanced life should also be independent and free from something that would harm it. This means that sexual reproduction is parasitism. It cannot be real human biology because your biology cannot engineer parasitism for you, which means it must be something else's biology that was forced on us.
Against just enables more discrimination. Men are learning what every other group learned long ago. You don't get equality by asking nicely. You get it by demanding it, organizing for it, fighting for it, legally and politically. You get it by refusing to accept less than equal treatment. You get it by calling out discrimination even when society tells you to shut up.
What they're saying, what he's saying is not what is happening at all. When men demand equality, they are demanding that women be forced to be with them. When women demand equality, women demand to be safe. When men demand equality, they demand that you be forced to be with them. They are demanding that the government stay out of it. They're demanding that the government stop protecting you, which means that absent government help, you are at the mercy. You are at their mercy. This is exactly why there is only one option left for us to free ourselves. This is only one option, that if we want to actually be free, we only have one option. Males being around at all is dangerous to us. Let me repeat that. Males being around is dangerous. Separatism is not going to work. Because absent government help, absent government enforcement of women's safety, you are going to be at their mercy. This is what they want. This is what they call equality. They want to be free to force you without government protecting you. There doesn't even have to be enforced patriarchy. There only has to be an absence of care for women. This is why I say patriarchy is in every male. When the government is absent in its action, patriarchy takes hold because it is in every single one of them. In order for them, because they're not human, they do not have rights in human societies, which means for them to get any rights, it must come from you, which means they must force themselves on you. That is the only way they can win. That is the only way available for them to win. If they do not force themselves on you, they have 0 wins. He keeps talking. He needs to talk like they are just benign little gnomes in order to brainwash women. All the little pick-me's out there are going to buy this. Like, oh, women. I bought this at one point, thinking women are just, harmless. That men are just harmless. All the pick-me's are going to buy this. They are not harmless. Every single one of their behavior is harmful. Every single one of them is harmful. And you producing more of them is harmful. Every single time you make a male, you are harming society. Every single male that you make, you are harming women.
Institutional changes needed are clear. Default custody in all states, equal say in reproductive decisions, equal weight in family court testimony, equal access to domestic violence services, equal consideration in education policy. These aren't radical demands, they're basic equality. Being understanding of bias doesn't eliminate bias. Being the bigger person when you're being systematically discriminated against just enables more discrimination. Men are learning what every other group learned long ago. You don't get equality by asking nicely. You get it by demanding it, organizing for it, fighting for it, legally and politically. You get it by refusing to accept less than equal treatment. You get it by calling out discrimination even when society tells you to shut up.
For the fact that they don't demand equal treatment. What they actually demand is what? Better treatment. What they actually demand is better treatment, because equal would be for them to leave you alone. That is what is equal. That is what is equal. That is what is biologically equal. Anything else is not equal.
Institutional changes needed are clear. Default custody in all states, equal say in reproductive decisions, equal weight in family court. Changes needed are clear. Default. You get it by calling out discrimination even when society tells you to shut up. The institutional changes needed are clear. Default custody in all states, equal say in reproductive decisions.
We'll say in reproductive decisions, you have to carry a child for 9 months. He does not. He wants equal say in that. Do you see it? Do you see it? He wants equal say in what your body does by itself. They are going to turn you into nothing but an incubator. If you give somebody who doesn't have to experience what you experience, equal body over what you unilaterally experience, you are making yourself nothing but an incubator. Nothing but an incubator. Men can only be parasites. It's not possible for a person to be like this.
Equal weight in family court testimony, equal access to domestic violence services, equal consideration in education.
Equal access to domestic violence services. They want for there to be services equally where women are going to be. This is what is unspoken in all the things that he's saying. Where women who are running from men who are abusing them, they want those men to have equal access. They're not saying a separate facility. No. That's where you're getting wrong. They want access to that very place. These things are pure evil.
Policy. These aren't radical demands, they're basic equality, but they're fought tooth and nail by those who benefit from inequality. The change is already happening. Younger men are rejecting marriage at record rates. They're demanding prenups when they do marry. They're fighting for their parental rights in court. They're refusing to accept the deal their fathers took. Services, equal consideration in education policy. These aren't radical demands, they're basic equality, but they're fought tooth and nail by those who benefit from inequality. Productive decision to shut up. You get it by refusing to accept less than equal treatment.
What equality for men in education policies is going to be, which is to hold women back. That's it. It doesn't matter how much you wrap it up into words, into equality. The only thing men want is to have a leg up on women. That's it. That's always what their formula is.
You get it by calling out discrimination even when society tells you to shut up. The institutional changes needed are clear. Default custody in all states, equal say in reproductive decisions, equal weight in family court testimony, equal access to domestic violence services, equal consideration in education policy.
It didn't say. Didn't say. Okay, hold on a second. Let's listen to.
These aren't radical demands; they're basic equality.
Okay, did you hear anything about equal medical services? Why? Equal reproductive medical services? Because you're not carrying a child. Yeah, because you're not carrying a child. Because you're not carrying your child. How come you don't demand that one? How come you don't demand that? Because you don't need it. Because you don't need it. Because you're not the one carrying the child. Yet you want equal reproductive decisions. I mean, this is just, do you see what I see? Do you see what I see? If you're still not clear, what I see is the future enslavement of women. This is inevitable. Afghanistan happening here is inevitable. Afghanistan is inevitable. And I feel like I am alone in this battle to make sure this doesn't happen. All the women, all the feminists are out here talking about it, talking about the things that need to change. You are living amongst your predators. The only thing that's going to change for sure is going to be your continued, your further oppression. They do not understand that you cannot, we must end our connection to them. We must end our connection to them by any means necessary. We must end our connection to them because that is what they use to entrap us. And if there is no connection to them, that if that connection is innate, there would be nothing to end. There will be nothing to end. I guess we'll have to see.
But they're fought tooth and nail by those who benefit from inequality. The change is already happening. Younger men are rejecting marriage at record rates. They're demanding prenups when they do marry. They're fighting for their parental rights in court. They're refusing to accept the deal their fathers took. This isn't a crisis of masculinity.
This is a thing like we think we're humans too, and therefore we deserve human things. No. This men, no. They are not that at all. They are not that at all. But they do think that they are. But exactly how he says that women only like this thing that benefit them, etc. That's actually not true. That's actually not what women are doing. But this is exactly what men are doing. Women are taking benefits where it is sensible. Why wouldn't your reproduction be independent of a man? Why wouldn't it be? Because that is exactly how it was designed in you. Except for the fact that they hijacked it. Except for what they hijacked it. And if you were going to reproduce on your own, right, it would be like you didn't reproduce at all. Because you would still, the things that would disable you from the things that would disable you from being able to go out and earn money, etc. To be able to go out and earn an income because you had a child would be gone. It would be gone because that is a result of what the men did to tie us to them. which means that you'll be able to do both. You'll be able to reproduce and work in order to avoid feed yourself and your child, which means you would not need a man, which means you would not need a gender role, which means you would not need a gender role. Ladies, please, I need you. If you think women deserve to be free, I need you to contact me so we can get started on it. We need more women to help us. We need more women to help us because this is not going to be an easy thing.
It's an awakening to reality. Some people call this a backlash, as if men demanding equality is somehow revenge. But it's not backlash, it's balance. For decades, the pendulum swung one way. Now it's swinging back towards center.
There can be no balance. If you are carrying, if you are the ones making humans and they are benefiting from it, there cannot be a balance because you're the only ones making humans. And they keep demanding rights from something they did not make. There can be no balance when one is giving and not getting, and the other one is getting and not giving.
People who benefited from imbalance will scream the loudest, but that doesn't make balance wrong. The future of gender relations depends on actual equality, not the selective version we've had. That means equal rights and responsibilities in all areas, equal authority in parenting, equal weight in custody decisions, equal options in reproduction, equal recognition of suffering.
Equal options, listen to that, equal options in reproduction. Equal options in reproduction. Equal options in reproduction, which means the only way they can have equal options is to prevent you from aborting. They want to enforce your abortion. They want to enforce, in order for them to be equal, they have to force you to die. In order for them to have equal rights, they have to force themselves on you. They have to force something on you. Equal options in reproduction, they only have one, which means they want you to also have one, which means they have to force you to carry a child. This is not natural. You naturally have that option to abort. They want to take it from you so they can be equal. These things are pure evil incarnate. Did you hear what it said? It was never about kids. It was never about saving any lives. It was always about them. It was always about them. He cannot have the option of aborting a child because the child is not in him. Because the child is not in him. So he wants to force that on you so that you can be equal to him. So that in places where you get benefits, they want to remove your benefits. They want to remove any benefits that you get from your own biology. They want to be the one benefiting from human biology. They want to be the only ones benefiting from human biology. This is parasitism. This can only be parasitism. And it is time we free ourselves. And in order to do that, we have to come together to take the steps to do it. So if you're interested in that, I need you to contact me. If you're interested in freeing women, you need to contact me. Equal options in reproduction. The only reason you have an option at all in abortion is because you carry the baby. It's because you carry the baby. If you didn't carry the baby, you also would not have any options. If you didn't carry the baby, you would not have any options except the only one you get. Want to force you to be equal to them in that area so that you don't get the benefit that is naturally endowed to you, that are naturally endowed to you. This is parasitism. We need to stop this two-sex system. I am so sick of hearing these males talk. disgusting.
Equal support for struggles. This threatens those who've built their identity on being victims while holding institutional power.
Equal support for struggles. They struggle because their human body, they struggle because their human body is ill-fitted for the organism that they actually are. They want you. If you cannot remove that, you cannot remove that, which means they would want you to have equal suicidal rates. That means more women must die for that to be equal. You cannot remove that. The only way to remove that is to have no males. But of course, that's not what they want. They want more women to die. They want more women to die.
But cognitive dissonance isn't a reason to maintain injustice. The fact that some people are uncomfortable with true equality doesn't mean we should accept inequality. Men advocating for themselves isn't anti-woman any more than women advocating for themselves is anti-man. This isn't a zero-sum game where one gender's gain is another's loss. Children having involved fathers.
It is. Yes, it is. As long as men exist on this plane, as long as they are in human societies, you will always lose. There is no calculus. There's no other calculus. You will always lose. All the times that we thought that we were free, all these decades that we thought that we were free, we have been losing because there is so much more that we were supposed to have as humans that have been that we didn't have access to because of these males.
Doesn't harm mothers.
It is a zero-sum game, and they do that. That is exactly what they enact every time. Every time you have to be married to them. Every time you leave them and they kill you. That is what they do.
Reproductive rights doesn't diminish women. Equal custody doesn't destroy families. It strengthens them. The reason.
Why do you need family? The mere fact that you don't need to be married to have a child is enough biological proof that sex, enough biological proof that you don't need marriage to have children. That marriage is removed from children, but it is tied to children because the entire point of it is to trap women. The entire point of it is to trap women. So if they're not trapping you, they are not interested in it. The entire point of having children is to trap women. That is why it is tied to marriage. Every country, let me tell you, every country has children out of wedlock. Let me tell you that. Every country has children out of wedlock because that is male nature. Because that is male nature. It is the sex thing that is causing women to have kids. It is the sex thing that is causing women to have kids. If you can have sex outside of marriage, you can have kids outside of marriage. Period, point blank. Every country has children out of wedlock. Children out of wedlock has never, ever, ever been erased, and it would never, ever, ever be erased. Because that is the actual biology of what they said. And the part about the marriage thing, they don't know how to make that happen biologically. That is why they have to tell you that you're supposed to be married to them. And it's not actually in biological proof.
The reason men are done playing nice is simple. Nice got them nowhere. Nice got them excluded from their children's lives. Nice got them treated as utilities rather than partners. Nice got them systematically discriminated against while being told they were privileged. Nice was a luxury they could afford when the system was fair. The system isn't fair. But this isn't about revenge or punishment. It's about building a world where both genders are treated as equally capable parents, equally deserving partners, equally valuable humans. Where a father...
Both genders. Did you notice that? Both genders. He didn't say capable men. He didn't say capable men are treated as good parents. Yeah, he didn't say that. He says both genders. So that means that any 16-year-old can say, yeah, I'm a capable parent. This is just based on lies, pure lies that is only going to get women killed. And of course, you know it's only going to get women and children killed because these are parasites, right? Whatever it is that they design, it's going to be safe for them. Whatever it is that they come up with will be safe for them. Exactly how biology works. Which is how your biology is supposed to work too. But not while you have these parasites asserting themselves on us.
Genders are treated as equally capable parents, equally deserving partners, equally valuable humans. Where a father's love for his children is valuable.
Equally valuable humans. Why they produce no humans and they keep killing. Equally valuable humans. Why they don't produce any humans, but they keep killing humans. Why they keep doing things that kill humans. I just made a video today, just today. Actually, it's not today. It was yesterday. It's yesterday now. It's just 4 a.m. now. It is 4 a.m. my time right now. No, I made a video just yesterday. I made a video about
valued as much as a mother.
Oh, what was that video about? What was the video about? What was the video about? I can't remember what the video is about. So let's move on. But they want you to believe that even as they are killing, even as they do things that cause others to have diminished humanity, diminished life, diminished lifespan, they are equal humans. They want to be treated as humans when you are the only humans. They are not humans. I need you to look at that face right now. These are not humans. There is no such thing as a human male. There is no such thing as a human male. That is a parasite who wants to claim your humanity for himself, which means that he thinks he gets to benefit from humanity, but not you. I remember what the video is about. The video is about men hoarding resources in their daily lives. What they're doing is hoarding resources so that supposedly the other humans can't have children, can't have resources. This is what they want you to believe is equal humanity. They hoard resources, the Joe Schmo, okay? They are hoarding resources in their homes so that women and children don't have resources, but they want you to treat them equally human. You're going to treat them equally human. The only inevitable result is that you are less human, because they are going to extract every bit of benefit from humanity, but they can only do it from you because only you are human. They can only extract it from you, the humans, because only you are the humans. Therefore, they do not have those benefits. That means they do not have those benefits. So in order for them to get those benefits they think are human benefits, they must get it from you, the humans.
Mothers, when men's struggles are seen as worthy of address as women's. The men who are done playing nice aren't the villains. They're fathers who want to parent, partners who want equality, humans who want recognition. They're tired of being told their needs don't matter, their contributions aren't valued, their struggles aren't real. They're done accepting less than equal treatment in the name of being good guys. Some will say this message is divisive, that it promotes gender warfare. But pointing out injustice isn't creating division. The injustice creates the division. Demanding equality isn't warfare, it's justice. Refusing to accept discrimination isn't aggressive, it's necessary. The path forward requires honesty about the current state of gender relations. We can't fix problems we won't acknowledge. We can't achieve equality while maintaining institutional bias. We can't have partnership while one side holds all the cards. Real progress requires real equality, not the performance of it. Men organising for their rights as fathers, partners, mums we won't acknowledge. We can't achieve equality while maintaining institutional bias. We can't have partnership.
My goodness. I'm so terrified of this. I'm pretty sure that no one else is understanding the depth of what this guy is saying. I'm sure no one else understands it as I do. I'm sure no one does.
While one side holds all the cards. Real progress requires real equality, not the performance of it. Men organising for their rights as fathers, partners, and humans isn't a threat to anyone who actually believes in equality. The only people threatened are those who benefit from inequality, and their discomfort isn't a reason to stop. It's evidence that change is needed. Every man watching this has a choice. Continue playing nice and accepting whatever scraps you're given, or stand up and demand equal treatment. Continue being silent about discrimination, or speak up even when it's uncomfortable. Continue enabling a biased system, or work to change.
Let me say something. They are not going to stop until we have no rights whatsoever, okay? And they're not going to stop until we, us humans, are actually extinct. I don't think you all get that. These are parasites. They do not give a care about us. These are parasites. I don't think you are understanding how parasites work. The eventuality of what these things are going to do is that us women are going to extinct, whether now or later. That is what is eventually going to happen because parasites continue to parasite until there is no more to parasite. Do you understand? They continue to parasite until there is no more. They do not stop. They do not stop. They do not take a break. They do not need water. They do not need food. They do not need all of that. They continue until there is no more to parasite. And then they move on to the next. We are at the cusp. We are at the cusp where we are going to go extinct in the next 25 years. I don't even think we will last 20 years. I'm not even sure we will last 10 years. Based on what the AI revolution is doing, I don't even think we will last 10 years. 25 is being far too generous. 25 years is being far too generous. I don't even think we will last that long. I just don't know. I don't know how else I need to say it so women get it. So women get it. That we have a way to free ourselves, and the only way to do that is by moving differently, by stopping all the talk about it and actually be about it.
Change it. The men's rights movement isn't about taking anything away from women. It's about gaining what should have always been there. Equal treatment under law.
Should have always been there? I'm sorry, what should have always been there? What should have always been there? What should have always been there? How many humans do you make for you to have always have their rights? How many? If women stop making humans now, what human is going to be demanding rights? None.
Equal consideration in society. Equal value as parents. This isn't radical. It's reasonable. This isn't
value as parents? Equal value? Equal value. This is how a parasite mind thinks. It doesn't matter how much evidence you give it. It is entitled to you. That is how it thinks. No matter how much evidence. This is why you don't hear this shit coming from women. Because we don't have a parasite mind. We don't think we deserve something we didn't do. Doesn't matter how much evidence you present to them. Their human look gives them the right. Gives them human right. Not that the fact that they actually have to produce anything. Not that the fact that they actually have to produce anything. Simply by existing, they deserve rights. Simply by existing, they deserve to have equal say in what your body does. Disgusting.
Extreme. It's equality. Change won't come from those benefiting from the current system. It will come from men collectively refusing to accept second-class status in families, relationships, and society. It will come.
That's right. No. They won't accept second-class status in family and relationship. No. But they will expect you to do so. They will expect you to do so, to accept second-class citizen in jobs, in income, in medical services, in everything else. But no. They can't accept second-class citizenship in anything else, in family and relationships, when it is your body that makes every human. No. You can't expect second-class citizenship in humanity when you're the ones making all the humans and he makes nothing. No, he has to have equal. He has to have equal. But the parts where you demand equality, no, those places are ridiculous. Those places are ridiculous, even though it is still the same humans that you made. He wants equality when he doesn't produce equally. He wants equality when he cannot produce equally. Why would a woman want this? This is why it matters. Why would a woman want this? All the other pygmy women who have engaged with men, thinking that the way things are set up right now is actually fair to women, right? Every single one of them are coming to regret it. Every single one of them are coming to regret. That is what is causing the birth rate to collapse. Every single one is coming to regret it because it is not. There is in no way, shape, or form do you have to be the ones producing and then somebody else is seeking equality. Ain't no way. Why would anyone want this? The only way, that means that the only equality, the only true equality that can ever be is that there is no humans being produced. Because he doesn't produce any humans. That is the only time you can be equal. That is the only time you can be equal, when no one produces humans. But you tell them that, and they say, no, you must also produce humans. You must also produce humans. They do not accept that equality, that is what equality is. Equality is when you are the slave. Their equality is when the woman is slave.
come from fathers demanding equal access to their children. It will come from men supporting each other instead of competing for approval from a system that devalues them.
Equal access to fathers is killing children. That is what they consider equality. Equal access to fathers is killing children.
The collective power of men standing together is what terrifies the establishment. Divided men are easily controlled, easily shamed, easily dismissed. But united men demanding fair treatment? That's unstoppable. That's why there's such effort to keep men from organizing, from supporting each other.
They're not wrong. Men coming together is unstoppable. Do you know why? Because they're going to overpower us. Because they're going to overpower us. Which means that before they do this, okay, before they finalize their entire enslavement of us, we have to get one up on them. If you want to be free, if you want to actually exist as a human being with dignity, being tied to men is not the way to go. Death is better. Death is better. Being tied to men is not it.
From recognizing shared struggle.
Which is why we need to break out of this. And we do that by coming together. So if you want to take part in this breaking out, contact me. It is imperative that we get started on this.
The time for being nice is over. Not because niceness is bad, but because it's been weaponized against men. Your reasonableness has been used to justify unreasonable treatment. Your cooperation has enabled discrimination. Your silence has been taken as consent. No more. This is why men are done playing nice. Not because they've become bad, but because they've realized that nice in an unfair system just means compliant with your own discrimination. They're done being understanding about bias. Done being reasonable about unreasonable treatment. Done being the bigger person while being systematically diminished. The future belongs to men who advocate for themselves without apology, who demand equal treatment without shame, who organize for their rights without fear of labels, who refuse to accept that their needs, struggles, and value matter less because of their gender. This isn't the end of cooperation between genders. It's the beginning of real partnership. But real
their singular need is to have a woman to control. That is their only need. That is their only need. This is like saying that I need to have I need to have equality for me to what? To drive people to their own deaths. This is pure evil. This is why I tell you these men are pure evil. There is nothing human about this. This is just pure abject evil. This is nothing but evil. Their only thing that they want, it's not the children, is sex. And for that, and they want ongoing, permanent sex. And for them to have that, you must not have any rights. This is what they want. This is what they consider equality. This is what they consider equality.
Partnership requires real equality, and real equality requires men to stop accepting less while being told to be grateful for it. Parts of it without shame.
Yeah, they have less because they are not human. Because humans are the ones reproducing humans. Because humans, when you produce humans, you get benefits from other humans, and other humans get benefits from you. When you are the ones producing humans, you benefit each other. This is like when you make a plant. This is like when you make a plant, and the bees want benefits of the plant. Well, when a plant grows, when a plant grows, it takes from the soil to send up to its its parts. That's when they get the benefits. That's when they get the benefits. That is like a bee then coming over to the roots. No. You must give me benefits. You must give me benefits. Well, how is it supposed to do that? How is it supposed to do that? You must give me equal benefits. And ultimately, what happens is that what? It damages the plant. You are not human.
who organize for their rights without fear of labels, who refuse to accept that their needs, struggles, and value matter less because of their gender.
Listen, if you're wondering, if you're saying that just because they look human, if you're saying that just because they look human, then they are therefore human, you need to understand that the reason men and women behave the same, because other women are human too, but other women are not doing this to us. Other women are not doing this to us because they are actually human, which means they understand the human condition. These males refuse to understand the human condition. They refuse to understand the human condition. They cannot possibly be human. Other women don't demand more rights from other women. They do not do that. Their continual behavior, not understanding that in order for you to benefit from humans, you actually have to produce humans. They and them demanding that even though they produce less humans, they must obtain equal benefits from the thing that they do not produce. That is what makes them parasites. Only parasites have this mindset. That is not what makes them parasites. That is proof that they are parasites. Because other women, you don't have someone who helps you care for your kids, but they didn't care your kids, come and demand that, I should have your kids. I should have your kids. Because I cared for them at one point in time. I cared for them one day. One day out of the year, I cared for them. You don't have women doing it. That's just basically what they're saying.
This isn't the end of cooperation between genders. It's the beginning of real partnership. But real partnership, gender.
Yeah, not they're calling it partnership. But what's actually going to happen, how it's going to unfold, is going to be pure parasitism. Listen, women like our age, middle-aged women, they are coming out regretting having ever dealt with men. And these are the women who have had freedom. These are the women who have had freedom. They are regretting getting involved with men at all. And they want better partnership. They want better partnership. Getting involved with a man at all breeds regret. But they want better partnership of which they have more rights. The only thing this man is talking about is pure enslavement or death. That is the only thing. That is exactly what worries me that you do not see. This is what both worries me as I hear it and also makes me worry that you guys do not hear it. What he's talking about is pure enslavement and death. For women, it's not even going to be either or, it's going to be both. It's not going to be just enslavement for women, it's going to be enslavement and death.
This isn't the end of cooperation between genders. It's the beginning of real partnership. But real partnership requires real equality. And real equality requires men to stop accepting less while being told to be grateful for it. The men who are done playing nice aren't giving up on relationships, family, or society. They're giving up on accepting unfair terms. They're giving up on being silent about discrimination. They're giving up on a system that demands their resources while denying their rights. This movement isn't going away. Every unfair custody ruling creates more advocates. Every biased law creates more activists. Every dismissed father's pain creates more determination. The system that created this response can't suppress it. It can only address it or face growing resistance. Men deserve better than they've been getting. Fathers do
they really? Do murderers deserve better? Do rapists deserve better? Do parasites deserve better? I mean, this is pure gibberish. This is pure gibberish. Let me tell you something. It is not possible. The entire purpose of a unit of life is what is independent. If they're saying that you must be in a relationship with them, they're saying that you are not a unit of life, that a couple is a unit of life. That is what they're saying, and that cannot be so. If they're saying you must be tied to them, that they're saying you are not a unit of life. And I promise you, if they have to make that argument, they will make that argument as well. There is absolutely nothing there's nothing too sacred for them. There is absolutely nothing too sacred for them to think is an abomination in order to get what they want.
Deserve equal access to their children.
You don't understand what that means. A unit of life is an independent organism. A cell is only a unit of life when it is an organism on its own. An independent organism is a unit of life, one that operates and breeds and does reproduction and does all, and does the obtaining of energy on its own. That means sexual reproduction is not biological. Sexual reproduction is not a unit of life's biology. It is something that has no life. A unit of life reproduces by itself. A unit of life reproduces by itself. These males are not life. This is why they can do this. Because they are not life, they need something else that is life to reproduce for them. Their origin is not from something that is a unit of life. Ooh. I actually just realized that. They are not a unit of life. Therefore, they don't do respiration. Oh my God, they don't do respiration. They don't need water. They don't reproduce on their own. My goodness, I just realized that.
Partners deserve equal say in relationships. Humans deserve equal recognition of their struggles. This isn't controversial, it's resistance. Men deserve better than they've been getting. Fathers deserve equal access to their children. Partners deserve equal say.
Equal access to the children means forcing the woman to marry them so he can get sex. This entire ploy is to get sex. It is not about the children. It is to get sex.
In relationships. Humans deserve equal recognition of their struggles. This isn't controversial, it's
No, you don't. No, you don't, because their struggles kills you. Recognizing their struggles kills women, because their struggles is to get women to be their slaves. Their struggles is to get a woman to be their slave and to kill a woman. That is their struggle.
It's common sense. But common sense becomes radical when it challenges profitable bias. The reason men are done playing nice is that they've realized nice guys don't finish last. They don't finish at all. They're removed from the race, told to be grateful for watching, then blamed for not participating. The game was rigged, and the only way to win is to demand new rules. This is a watershed moment. Men are waking up to systemic bias that's been invisible, because acknowledging it was forbidden. They're seeing patterns that were always there but never discussed. They're connecting dots that make uncomfortable pictures, and they're deciding they won't accept it anymore. I want to hear from you. What was your breaking point? When did you realize playing nice was getting you nowhere? What systematic bias have you experienced that society pretends doesn't exist? Drop your stories below.
Oh, that made me so ill. That made me so ill listening to that. That made me so ill. If any man he's talking about actually fits in this category, there would be a tiny fraction. There would be a tiny fraction. The entire ploy is to get women back to enslavement. Ain't nothing about this about children. Nothing about it is about equality. Nothing about it is about parenting. I want you to see this. The men are not going to not do anything. The men are going to totally re-enslave us. Let me repeat that. Us talking can no longer be sufficient. It's no longer sufficient. We have to do something. We have to start doing something.